Well, when I was 9 years old, my good friend Brant hit me in the face with a baseball bat on purpose. And right here, 3 stitches. I've still got the scar. You see, we were playing baseball with some of the other boys in the neighborhood. Brant had been taking a turn at the bat, and I wanted to turn. So I walked up to him, said I'd like the bat, and reached for it. He raised the bat up like he was going to hit me. And then he did. Well, I put my hands to my cheek in pain as everyone else rushed over to look and see what had happened. One of the boys convinced me to take my hands away so they could see. So I lowered my hands, revealed a blood-gushing wound. And in response, all the other boys screamed and ran away. Boys do that, you know. Another kid gets hurt, there's a little blood, they run away so they aren't to blame. It's just this childhood thing. When things get tough, you run away, you get away. But I guess in some ways, we never really grow out of that, do we? We find people running away from difficult things all the time, even in the scriptures, like in this story from the Gospel of John. Today is the last of the 5 Sundays we have focused on John chapter 6. Thank goodness. What a deep slog it's been through these difficult teachings of Jesus. But we've heard Jesus deal with some real-world problems. And today there's one more problem, one more issue to mention. So here's the issue that we can identify with today. Here's the problem. It's people running away. People walking away from faith and discipleship in Jesus. It's the reality that sometimes people get to a point where following Jesus, when they simply have to give up. And they're not able to go on and keep believing. And in this part of the story, in John chapter 6, that giving up, that turning away, it sounds like this. This is difficult teaching. Who can accept it? Who can accept it? Say that with me. Who can accept it? That's the voice of those who are described as disciples. Disciples, these are people who have been following Jesus up until now. In John's Gospel, disciple doesn't mean the 12 disciples. Disciple is the word used to talk about everyone who has been tagging along. Well, those who've tagged along with Jesus through chapter 6 of John have seen and heard a lot about bread, the bread of life, and who Jesus is. And finally, after Jesus has shared so many deep and difficult things, there are some of these disciples who decide to turn away, to walk away. Here's what we read in verse 60. When many of his disciples heard it, they said, "This teaching is difficult. Who can accept it?" When they heard it. And what it did they hear? Well, it could be when they heard Jesus say that part about eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Or it could be that part about him being the bread that came down from heaven. Or that part about he himself being the sign of God. Maybe it's a little bit of all those things, plus many others that Jesus said. In our time, people walk away from discipleship, turn away from faith for lots and lots of reasons. For some, it's frustration over something that is happening in their life. For others, it's anger about something done to them by someone else. For some, it's confusion about what to really believe and why. For others, it's a sense of shame about who they really are. For some, it's the inconvenience of not being in control of everything. For others, it's a feeling of apathy about anything beyond themselves. Those are just some of the ideas about what makes people walk away from faith and life among the community of Jesus' disciples. But we can tell stories, can't we, about what it has been like for people we know. Whether an accumulation of experiences or just one thing Jesus said, this teaching, this path of discipleship proves too much for some disciples, and they turned back and no longer went about with Jesus. Things got tough, and they had to run away, get away. But some stayed, including the 12, Peter and Andrew and James and John and all the rest. And Jesus turned to them and said, "Do you wish to go away also?" Think about the 12, that inner core of Jesus' followers and friends. After some who had followed Jesus turned back and went away, Jesus wants to know if they are having second thoughts. How do you imagine they were feeling at that moment? I don't know, the Bible doesn't say, but doesn't it make sense to think that these 12 disciples did in fact have their own frustrations and fears and reasons to go away? Things got tough for them too. So wouldn't an honest answer have been, "Yes, Lord, yes, we want to go away. This is too hard." But that's not what Peter says. He says, "Lord, to whom can we go? You have the words of eternal life." Lord, where would we go? The 12, they've left everything behind. Lives as fishermen and tax collectors with ordinary and predictable paths. But they can't go back. Because in their journey of discipleship with Jesus, they have learned something. They have come to believe something. That He is the bread of life. That His words are eternal life. That He is the One. The Holy One of God. It's not that Peter and the 12 are such great people compared to the rest. What they know and believe about Jesus is a gift from God the Father, just like Jesus says. And it's a gift that they are only beginning to understand. And so what Peter said, what Peter confessed that day, "You are the one," is really an act of submission. "We give up, Lord," Peter seems to say, "because we believe in you, and we have nowhere else to go." Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. Sound familiar? That's what we sing many Sundays, isn't it? Years ago, it was the wisdom of some who planned liturgical music, liturgical worship, to set those words to music so that we could sing them. Alleluia, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We sing them as a gospel acclamation, an introduction to the words and stories about Jesus. I grew up singing those words to several different tunes. You probably did too, if you were in a Lutheran church or one similar to it. And you know, I always thought of those words as a sort of pep rally chant, right? Like, hooray, Jesus, you are so great. Now we are standing up for you. But it puts a different spin on it if you really know where those words come from. It's not really a shout of hooray, but a cry of desperation in John chapter 6. Peter was summing up the struggle it is to be a disciple of Jesus when he said, yeah, Lord, sometimes we do want to go away. But where are we going to go? We don't have anywhere to go. We've left things behind to follow you because deep down we trust, we hope, we believe that your words about life and all that God is doing are true. We say we stand to hear the gospel with that song on our lips. And we have permission, I think, to sing it out of desperation, like Peter. We give up, Lord, we believe in you. We have nowhere else to go. Well, it doesn't have as good a ring to it. But it's honest. Let's be honest. We all walk away, go away, run away from faith in Jesus sometimes. Eventually, so did Peter, who, when things got tough, denied him. So did the rest of the 12, who, when there was some blood and a cross, got lost. And so do we. You see, in this story, I think we are both the ones who turn away and the ones who stay. We are the ones who understand some of the time and who aren't sure at others. We are the believers and the doubters, the saints and the sinners. But Jesus is Jesus. And in our lives, He is the one who calls us to faith and forgives us when we are unfaithful. He is the one who doesn't flee when there is trouble, but takes it up on the cross. He is the one who, when He sees who we truly are, gushing wounds and scars and all, doesn't run away, but abides with us. Jesus doesn't run away from us. No, He remains near us, for us.